to college, one concern that I had, that many of you may or may not have had, was food and how I was going to make it. Now, I didn't really have to deal with this. Wasn't a big problem until it wasn't a big problem my first 2 years here because I lived in the dorms, had a meal plan, and I was pretty much set with that. But starting my junior year, I was a little concerned with how I would start making food because I had very limited skills when it came to cooking. And my problem was resolved with the use of 7 small words. 1 pound, 1 pan, one tasty meal. This, of course, is the slogan for Hamburger Helper. And today I'm going to teach you all how to make Hamburger Helper. It's a simple, cost-efficient meal that is relatively easy to make, and it is a great dinner for family, friends, and in my case, I use it multiple days during the week. All right, I've been making Hamburger Helper since I was in high school on my own. I usually, when I'm here at school, I usually eat it once or twice, at least a week on average. Since I had mentioned earlier, I have limited skills when it comes to cooking, so I usually only can make frozen items in the microwave and in the oven. So Hamburger Helper is a big help when for meals for me to eat. The first thing before you do anything is when since you're dealing with raw meat and ground beef, you wash your hand before you do anything. So I have Purell anti-sanitizer just to use before I do that. Your ingredients are, first you start with a pound of ground beef, which I have right here. Then you have your milk and hot water, which is it's already pre-measured depending on which flavor or kind of Hamburger Helper you use. And then for the Hamburger Helper box, it comes with the sauce mix, and depending on what flavor you have, either the uncooked pasta, or they have certain types of rice or potatoes, depending on which kind you use. Now, first, when I usually start, I usually use frozen ground beef. So I usually start by defrosting it in the microwave, which usually takes about 7 to 8 minutes. But this is pre-browned ground beef that I did this morning. And then when you brown the ground beef, you place it in the skillet, and you cook it until it's brown on both sides, which takes approximately 5 to 6 minutes. After you brown the ground beef, the next step is to drain it. And usually I do this by using a paper towel and placing the ground beef on the paper towel. And usually just, you want to do this to keep the grease and extra stuff like that out of the final product. After you drain the ground beef, you place the ground beef back into the pan that you just used. And then you will take the hot water, and well, it's not hot now, obviously, but usually it's hot because it just helps with the cooking process. It'll be warm when you cook it, but it doesn't really matter. It just takes longer if you use cold water. So this the lasagna recipe requires 2 3/4 cups of hot water. So you dump that into the rest of the pot. Then you add in the milk, and this recipe requires a 3/4 cup of milk. And then after that, you add the sauce mix to the powder skillet, and then you add the uncooked pasta. after this, you heat until it's boiling. Which, if you're using a skillet, it would be on temperature usually on 250 degrees to heat till boiling. And if you use a pot on the stove, it's usually the medium setting. After heating to boiling, after the contents in the skillet are heat to boiling, you reduce the heat to simmer, and usually this is on 200 degrees on a skillet, and if you use it on the stove, it's between the low and medium setting. And you continue to stir occasionally while it is simmer every 1 or 2 minutes. This particular recipe requires, or says that the recommended simmering time is 10 minutes. So after 10 minutes, you will reduce the heat, and you'll be ready to serve your meal. I obviously don't have heat here because I just wanted the real one to be warm, and this is just for demonstration. But you would take you'd cover the, you got stuff, but you would cover the lid while it was boiling, and then once it's simmered, you would remove the lid, and then you are ready to serve your meal and enjoy. So.